The US and South Korean leaders have pledged closer trade and security ties in Washington, D.C. after their two countries struck a long-sought free trade deal. President Lee Myung-bak's visit comes as opposition continues in his home country against South Korea's plans to build a controversial naval base. US warships will be able to use the facility on Jeju Island. Well, for more, let's now talk to Professor Rudiger. He's chair of the East Asian Economy and Society at the University of Vienna. Thanks very much indeed for being with us here on RT. President Obama has hailed the free trade agreement with South Korea a major win for American workers and businesses. But what about those in South Korea? Will they benefit?
Well, I think in general it's always a good thing between two industrialized nations to have a free trade deal, because it will eliminate artificially created impediments to trade, which has short and long-term benefits. In South Korea, the problem is that so far the state has relied on a very particular model of economic development with a strong state that heavily interferes in the economy. And tariffs were part of its toolkit, so it is now reducing the options it has for intervening. On the other hand, it will help Korea to foster closer ties with the United States. And most importantly, it will help South Korea to fight its growing trade dependency on China. And I think this is the main political reason for having concluded this fair trade agreement.
Let's talk about this controversial naval base. South Korea is denying it's being built specifically for the US, but still seems to be no official confirmation or denial on this. How do you see this facility in the future being used?
Well, one purpose that's very obvious is its use as part of the missile defense shield against long-range ballistic missiles. Now, it's up to you to guess where those missiles might come from. They might come from North Korea, they might come from further up north. And the other is really for the South Korean Navy to help it to project its power into the waters around Jeju-do. And let me remind you that North Korea is 550 kilometers away, China is 500 kilometers away, Japan is less than 200 kilometers away.
So let's get this clear. Will we see the US Navy using this base on a fairly serious way, in a fairly serious way?
Well, since South Korea and the United States are very close allies, in particular in terms of military, it's very obvious that the US Navy will be using this base, of course.
Well, a lot of concern about the base in South Korea itself over the political and environmental issues. By all accounts, it's dividing the country. But what about the reaction from North Korea?
Well, so far I could see no direct reaction from North Korea. Of course, North Korea will always feel offended when its enemies, US and South Korea, improve and expand their military capabilities. But as I just said, the distance is really too far from North Korea to really have a direct effect on the North Korean security. So I think reaction will be as usual, but not overly heated, I think.
We just talk about the relationship between South Korea and the US. Just how much influence does the US have over Seoul?
Well, the United States traditionally had a very strong influence. At the end of the day, they bailed South Korea out in the Korean War. They were the biggest partner supporting South Korea's economic growth. And they have also supported the development of a democracy in South Korea, so that relationship is very close. It has always been seen with mixed feelings by South Koreans, and recently I think I have found a growing agreement amongst all circles in South Korea that this alliance needs to be redefined, not cancelled but redefined, and that it needs to grow into a more equal kind of an alliance. So the United States influence is there, but it will change in nature.
Professor Rudiger, chair of the East Asian Economy and Society at the University of Vienna, thanks very much indeed for your time here on RT. Good to hear from you.